thank you and welcome to my channel. If this is your first visit, I'm Rich Lafferty with Rich Lafferty Racing, it's the name of my channel. And subscribe please and hit the bell notification down there at the bottom if you feel froggy. Go ahead. My tip for today, and please forgive me, I'm a little dirty, but I just got done riding. I had a little class here with a student and we're dirty. It's dusty and dry in Jersey. So good times though. Anytime on dirt bikes, good time. So 5 mistakes that we make with the front brake. Okay, number one mistake is if you don't use it, that's a mistake. Front brake is anywhere from 65 to 75% of your braking. It varies 65 to 75% of your braking because of soil conditions. If it's slimy, gnarly, wet soil, it's got done rain or something, you're riding in rain, you're not going to be as hard on it. Okay, or soft sand or something like that, versus if it was perfect traction, you might be harder on. And you know, understand the unique thing about off-road is that, you know, on a steep downhill, something like that, you're not going to be on it at all, or you might just feather a little bit, or you might just rely more on the rear. But in normal conditions, off-road, into a turn, 65 to 75% of your braking is your front brake. Okay, so if this is you that you don't use it at all, work on it. And here's some tips to help you and mistakes that people sometimes do that I've noticed over years doing schools. Number 2, if you use any more than 2 fingers, yes, I said 2. First off, if you're, you know, a lot of beginners use all 4, and I see that on the clutch too, but that's a whole nother subject. But you want to rely just on 1 finger. That way you can still hold on. You don't want to over grip or grip the throttle too hard. You want to make sure you're breathing well. A lot of times that'll alleviate your grip a little bit, so you're don't have that death grip on the throttle. But I've noticed over years in teaching people to use the front brake, if you use 2, a lot of times just resting 2, it's hard for the guy to regulate it. They have issues regulating pressure because you're trying to find that point just before lockup. If you use 1, in my opinion, it should either be your pointer or your middle. For me, I use my pointer. Sometimes I find myself going back to the middle, but that's because I think my pointer finger gets a little tired, but that's another thing, 45-year-old man thing. So anyway, it's a whole nother story. So number 2, try and focus on just 1 finger. 1 finger on the front brake, not 2. It's hard to regulate, sometimes 2 or 3. I know for little guys, if you're a little racer, you know, try and strengthen up that grip a little bit with a tennis ball, okay? But still, using 3 fingers, you're trying to find that point just before lockup. You don't want to go to lockup, so you don't have to squeeze it really hard, okay? Number 3, again, this is going to be redundant, repeat myself, but 3, if you're that guy who just goes right to lockup, you don't want to go to lockup. Understand that you're just trying to find that point just before lockup, so you're teaching yourself that. So simply just practicing in your driveway or on an open dirt road or something like that, just using a little bit of pressure to get the feel of that point just before lockup. Okay? I'm reading from my list, so I forgot them. There's 5 of them. If you're applying the front brake in a turn, that's a mistake. At the apex, in the middle of a turn, that's a mistake. You don't want to apply the front brake in the middle of the turn, especially if the bike's leaned over or something like that. A lot of times it can cause the front end to wash out. Okay? As soon as you shut off for the turn is when you want to apply brake. Okay? So that's when you want to apply it on the entrance to the turn. At the apex, you want to be off the front brake. Now, again, if it's a tight turn around a tree or something like that, there's always that exception. Sometimes you might be just feathering the front brake a little bit, but still you want to rely more on doing it on the entrance to the turn. At the apex, as far as you trying to make the bike steer, you shouldn't be using the brakes to make the bike steer, in my opinion. Okay? That limits your momentum. Number 5, okay, the 5th one is sitting. If you're sitting is where you sit, your body position. Okay? A lot of times if your body position is too far forward when you apply the front brake, all the weight is forward. I'll jump on my bike here real quick. Get out of frame. So if I'm sitting here and I apply front brake, it's not good because of all the weights now on the front end. Okay, so as you apply the brake, If you're going to stay seated, your torso's got to be at least pushed back. So open up and push your arms back. If you're standing, your butt's going to be pushed back even more, which is a good thing because if you've heard me say before, it slows down the inertia of the motorcycle. Also, putting a weight on the rear of the motorcycle, which puts traction into the ground, helping the rear wheel dig into the ground under braking. Okay? And that's the fifth one, but I said 5, but I had 6. I'm going to give you a bonus. Here's the thing in practice, and ask yourself, and you may be this person right now watching this, and it's fine because it's a lot of stuff I deal with schools and everything, and it's tough. Negative self-talk. If you're saying to yourself right now, I don't use the front brake because the front wheel's going to wash out, or I don't use the front brake because I'm afraid to go over the handlebars, or I don't use the front brake just because I lock it up I'm afraid of locking it up. Focus on what you want to happen, okay? So turn your negative self-talk into a positive. Focus on, hey man, this front brake is tough, but I'm going to change it around and focus on just finding that little bit of pressure and keep working at it till I find that adequate pressure before lockup. I'm not going to apply it in a turn because that's what's going to cause it the front wheel to push out or wash out or go over the handlebars. So turn your negative self-talk into a positive self-talk. Okay, so that's the end of my tip. I hope you enjoyed this, and I need a shower. So thanks guys, talk to you soon.